So when you're down here long enough, you realize that the crazy guy you see shouting on the street is not just some crazy guy shouting on the street. He's a guy that's in a tremendous amount of pain, which is why he's shouting in the street. This was brought home to me when my daughter died in 2008 as she was being born, and I basically lost it in the Tenderloin. And I was one of those guys for a little while shouting out in the street. And so this is very personal for me. I think that, and I'm going to start saying this louder now, that dumping poor people into SROs who are sick or in pain and not making sure the neighborhood is safe is immoral and wrong. And we have a moral imperative to clean up the Tenderloin for the people that live there. It's just not right. So that's the one hat that I have. As a member of as a community member in the Tenderloin and as someone who cares about it and the people that live in it very deeply. The other hat that I wear is as the CEO and creative director at Stamen Design. We are cartographers and explorers, and we do a lot of work with data that's obscure or difficult to access or otherwise kind of problematic. And so I want to just talk about that for 1 second as a way that we've been able to respond to the Tenderloin and what's happening inside of it. And one of the ways that we did that is with a site called Crime Spotting. We decided that it was time for there to be a better way to access crime information on the internet, and we went and scraped the websites of the Oakland and the San Francisco police websites to start to have a better conversation about what was happening with the crime that's going on. In the course of this, I went over to the Tenderloin police station and asked them how they were doing their crime mapping, and they showed me a photocopy map of the Tenderloin and a row of stickers. We thought this was a better way. So this is the a week of crime in the Tenderloin. Here's the narcotics last week. You'll notice that it's pretty concentrated. That's the narcotics during the day. That's the narcotics at night. The patterns are strikingly clear. We are taking our most vulnerable citizens and we're making them live in open-air drug markets. It needs to stop. Another project that we did that started to take a look at some of these other problems that were hiding in plain sight. We're mapping the new private transit networks that have emerged, colloquially called the Google bus. We were asked to do this as part of an art exhibit, and so tried to go and talk to some of these companies and find out if we could get the roots from them. Nobody would talk to us, fearing litigation. And yet, there's spray-painted Google logos on the sidewalk out front of the Google bus stops at 18th and Dolores. And the schedules are clearly posted on the buses. So we thought, we can do better than this. And so what we started doing was to figure out ways that we could scrape this information from the internet. And it turns out that if you type in Google bus on Foursquare, you get a map that looks very similar to this, right? So these companies are they're driving these gigantic buses through town. They're not willing to talk about it, and we all know how controversial this is. This was done about 1.5 years ago. So we decided that it was up to us to try and find out some information about it. So what we did is used a project that we'd done before called Field Papers, which is a way of gathering, of collating geographic information and putting it on sheets of paper. And we essentially paid people from TaskRabbit and some bike messenger companies to follow these buses around. I wish that I had documented that, but we have this document of it. We had a woman from San Leandro stand at the corner of Market and 8th for 8 hours counting Google buses, and she said she'd never do that again. She was over it. But essentially, we hired some bicyclists, some motorcycle people, and some regular folks to stand on the corner and essentially count what people were, where people were getting on and where they were getting off. And we did this for about 2 weeks and started to then take this information back to the studio and turn it into something that we could use as a proxy for putting some information into software and generating these kinds of maps. And so towards the end of it, we decided we didn't want to go with something that was quite this formulaic, and thought we would go create the conceit that that this was a public transit network, right? Like using the New York subway map or the BART as a design kind of conceit, and say, like, if you could, transfer from the Apple bus to the Google bus, you could do that at 15th and Dolores. So This has been a really interesting project because it's been used in 2 instances that I want to share with you. It's been used fairly widely, but the first one is that if you look at real estate websites that show places near the Google Maps, Google Bus, you'll see this on there, not as a critique, but as a benefit of the place. And there was also an anti-Google Bus protest where people pretended that there was actually a public bus network that they were trying to get on, and they used this as part of their propaganda, basically. So we thought that was pretty great. In my work with Stamen, I was lucky enough to meet Jen Rainin, who's the founder of the Kenneth Rainin Foundation. And that's the work that I want to talk about for the rest of my talk. It's been a really amazing opportunity to be on her board and to do work with her. We fund performing arts in San Francisco, theater, dance, other stuff. Education, we have a childhood literacy program in Oakland that's focusing on very, very early childhood development. And then we also do some Crohn's disease work in the health. But I want to talk about the arts because it's my focus. Since 2009, we funded $1.5 million worth of performance arts in Central Market, people like the Exit Theater, Counterpulse, and others. It's been super exciting to be part of this ecosystem, and we really decided that we wanted to focus on this district just because it has so much to offer, and also just because I've got a lot of passion for it. As an example of the kind of thing we fund, we work really closely with Evergold Gallery. If you haven't been there, you should. It's on O'Farrell Street, right near my old place in the Tenderloin. And if you know what the corner of O'Farrell and Jones looks like, you'll see that this is actually quite a different picture of what it can be like on O'Farrell and Jones. This is inside in the art gallery. They do all kinds of wacky stuff in there. But the important thing for me is that when they have their shows, they spill out into the street, and suddenly you've got 200-300 people from all walks of life milling around outside on the Tenderloin streets. It's a very inclusive crowd, young people, old people, lots of different kinds of people there. And this is the kind of thing that we really want to foster and encourage. We feel like that's what the Tenderloin really needs. It's got a lot of the social services now. What it needs is people who are activating the storefronts and activating the streets. And we're doing a lot of work with them. We also have a $100,000 campaign grant now for artists to come in and help the neighborhood identify itself as an arts district. So that went out a little while ago, and those are all being, those reviews are all happening now, and I'll have an announcement about that in the next couple of weeks. So that's super exciting. But the real focus of what I want to talk about, this is my third hat, is the work that we're doing with the Community Arts Stabilization Trust. This is a nonprofit that was funded by the Kenneth Rainin Foundation. And it really came out of the work that we did with artists in the community. What we did was we were going and funding these projects, and that was all great, but when we started to talk to the people that we were funding, we heard that there is this incredible pressure, as everybody's aware, that the rents are going up. And it's all very well and good to fund a dance program, but if there's no place to rehearse, there's no art. So this was designed to address that need. And what we've been doing has been supporting placemaking in San Francisco, specifically in Central Market, by acquiring real estate that is difficult for others to use and inviting artists to become our tenants. What we want to do is to create a vibrant ecosystem in the Central Arts District around places that essentially mitigate gentrification by owning their own places. And then we work with these groups so that they can buy the buildings back from us, and it pumps more money into the system. We think it's a model that can actually work nationwide, and so that's super fun. We're working really closely with the city of San Francisco. The Amy Cohen, in particular, at the Office of Economic Workforce Development, is helping us with maps like this, where we're identifying potential vacancies in the neighborhood, and she's working with us on the permitting process and that kind of stuff. The city's been really great. So far we've put $5 million into this fund, and we've bought 2 buildings so far. And I want to talk about those 2 and what we're trying to make happen there. The first is 1007 Market Street, which is about 2 blocks from here at the corner of Market and 6th, which used to be the coolest block in San Francisco. Movies, all that kind of stuff before BART came through. So some of you probably know it as the Luggage Store Gallery. We're now the Luggage Store's landlord, Luggage Store. And we're working with them to help them get to a place where they're going to be in a place to be able to buy their own building back from us. So that's been super terrific. A project that the Luggage store does, which is of particular inspiration and one of the main reasons why I wanted to get involved with them, was the Tenderloin National Forest. And this is around the corner from my old house in the Tenderloin. It's called Cohen Alley. This is what it looked like in 1989. It was basically an open-air toilet and trash dump. The founders of the Luggage store came in, asked the city whether they could use the space, and they started doing art projects in there. They got the city to put in a gate. They started doing murals. They started doing outreach to the community. And what they've also done, which is so spectacular, is they've managed to turn it into a garden. They've broken the asphalt. They planted a redwood tree in there. There's a 35-foot high redwood tree growing in the middle of the Tenderloin. It's a totally amazing, inspirational space. I really encourage you to go see it. You will come away with a different view of what can happen in the Tenderloin. It's a community space. They do food. They do dance. They do all kinds of stuff. It's wonderful. Just that they've broken through the asphalt is this incredibly potent metaphor for me. I love the place. The second project that we're doing is at 80 Turk, which is a few blocks from here, at the corner of Turk and Taylor. If you look on the crime spotting website, you will see off-the-charts levels of crime on that block. This is the building. It's the former Gaiety Theater. It was a review house and a porn theater for a long time. This is what the neighborhood looked like a couple years ago when the Chronicle wrote a story about how this was the worst block in town, that the police had basically given up on it. It can be really difficult to engage with that block. The pink building is the one that we bought. The city has been really terrific to us. A few months ago, the neighborhood essentially got together and asked Supervisor Kim to do something about the crime on the block, and the city responded by making it illegal to park on Turk Street now. There's no parking at all on Turk Street. And the reason is because when trucks would pull up and cars would pull up, basically people would hide behind the cars and sell drugs and do all kinds of other nasty stuff. And if you look at this, there's that pink building there. There's no reason that anybody should be driving on this street. There's no reason that cars need to be pulling up in front of Turk and Taylor. Nobody that lives on this block, and there's a ton of SROs that live on that block, nobody's driving there. This is the vision for a cast. I want to take all the Tenderloin massage parlors and turn them into art galleries. All the porn theaters should be dance studios, and all the little alleys in the Tenderloin should be gardens. And we can do this in a way that's not traditional, that's not the way that most nonprofits think. It's not gentrification. There's no way to gentrify the Tenderloin. All of the housing stock in there is protected stock. It's an incredible opportunity to put together a dense, vibrant network of transportation-friendly, green, open, beautiful spaces, and not just kick out the people that live there. We can come together and work on really, really amazing stuff. I'm really thinking about this a lot. I think there's opportunities for solutions in this space that are completely wild and wonderful. Working with people like the Luggage store, we can really open up how people think about space and Market Street. This is the question that I've got. If we can have a forest in the Tenderloin with a 35-foot redwood tree right in the middle of one of the densest urban neighborhoods in San Francisco, and we do, what else could we have on Market Street? And that's what I've got. Thanks very much for listening to me.